Little Trees, Big Dream, A Christmas Story by M.J. Albert. The air had gotten steadily colder. The sun was lighting up the small forest, slowly this morning. As Little Tree came awake and noticed that there were small, soft and cold somethings falling on him. Little Tree was a Douglas fir. He had soft, flat green needles. He grew in a forest of many trees and animals. Many were young, like Little Tree, and they were all his friends. "What is this white stuff?" he wondered aloud. A small bird landed on one of his branches. Little Tree was only a year old, so his branches were small, and Finch flapped his wings a little to steady himself. "This is snow. It comes from the sky," said Finch. "It covers us when the sun gets weak." "Oh," said Little Tree. "Soon the humans will come," Finch said, his voice hushed so that Little Tree could barely hear him. "What are humans?" asked Little Tree. "They come and make big noises. Sometimes they take away deer and turkeys. Sometimes they come and take trees." "Take?" Little Tree wondered what he meant. Finch flitted his wings and settled back on Little Tree. "They take, yes." Finch flew up and then settled back down on a stump nearby. "See, Little Tree? Do you see this stump?" "Yes, Finch, I see the stump." "This used to be a tree. It grew here before you were born. Then one day, after the snow started falling, some humans came and cut the tree down. They took the tree back with them to where the humans live and left this stump here. Why?" Little Tree couldn't understand why anyone would take a tree away from the forest where they grew, where they had the sky and other trees to talk and sing with, when the wind gave them voices. Finch scratched an itch under his wings with his beak. "They put sparkly things and small lights with bright colours on their branches and then put them in a place of honour. The trees become Christmas trees then." "What are lights?" "Lights are like the stars at night. Some are brighter and they have different colours. Some are like the sky. Some are like the grass in spring. Some are like the cardinals. They cover the Christmas trees." "That sounds nice. Can I be a Christmas tree?" Finch flew up and around Little Tree. "You have to grow some more." Finch flew off then. Birds never stayed long. Little Tree loved to talk to the birds about the places they had seen, but none of them would stay still for long. They would chatter, then flit off to another tree or somewhere else where Little Tree couldn't follow. It made Little Tree sad. Why was he stuck here? Why couldn't he fly away to see new places? He loved the forest and all of his friends, but he wished he could see other places, other things, like his bird friends could. Sometimes it was boring just to stay in one place all the time. Some time passed, and Little Tree was feeling sorry for himself when Finch landed back on his branches and hid among Little Tree's needles. "Hi, Finch. I'm glad you are back to see me." "Shh," said Finch in a whisper. "Goshawk is near, and I'm hiding from her." "Why do you need to hide?" asked Little Tree, but Finch shushed him again. "You have to be quiet, little tree. Do you want Goshawk to find me?" Little Tree thought about this, then asked in a whisper, "Why do you hide from Goshawk? What will she do?" Finch decided to change the subject. He didn't want to talk about Goshawk, or what would happen if Goshawk caught him. "I saw some humans in the forest today," said Finch. "They carried a tree out with them." "Where?" said Little Tree, suddenly very interested. "Not far from here. I followed them and saw they took the tree. They put her in a stand that made her straight and tall. I could see her. They put lights and shiny things on her. Some of the colours were bright and shone like stars in the sky. They made her into a Christmas tree." Little Tree was curious. "Are there lots of other trees there? What's it like? Are there lots of colours? Do you think the humans will take me with them?" Finch preened a wing, looked around for Goshawk, and then looked at Little Tree. "You shouldn't wish for that, Little Tree. The trees that go there never come back here, never sing with the wind and the birds." "I don't care. I want to see other places. It's boring to stay in one place all the time. I want to be a Christmas tree." Finch was quiet. He knew Little Tree was too young to understand. He stretched his wings and flew away. Older trees told Little Tree about the humans coming and how the trees were cut down and taken away. They showed him the stubs of those trees. "They never come back, Little Tree. They never get to sing and talk in the wind. They are gone. It is not something to wish for." But Little Tree knew what he wanted. He wanted to be away from the forest. It was the same thing every day, standing and watching the birds flying away, the animals coming and going. He wanted to see things and go places. He did not want to just listen to his bird friends telling him about them. He imagined himself dressed up in bright starlights of all colours with bright shining things on his branches. He wanted more than anything to be a Christmas tree. He thought, if he could make the humans dress him up in bright colours and take care of him, he wouldn't care what happened after that, even if it were just for a little while. It would be enough. He would have all that he wanted. If only a human would choose him and make him into a Christmas tree. He learned from the other trees that the humans only took straight trees with full branches. They only took trees that were the right height, ones that were in their 7th winter. Little Tree was sad about that. He would have to wait a long time for his 7th winter to come. One day, after the snow had been on the ground for a long time and had covered everything, Little Tree saw them. Humans had come to his part of the forest. They trudged through the snow, moving around until they found one of Little Tree's friends, a tall, straight spruce named Dark Blue, who had told Little Tree that she thought the humans would take her during this snow. The humans cut down and dragged her out of the forest. "Goodbye, Little Tree. I'm going to the human place to be a bright and shiny Christmas tree. Remember me?" "Goodbye, Dark Blue. I wish I could come with you." For days and days, all Little Tree could talk about was Dark Blue and how the humans had taken her. He pestered the birds with questions about her. Finch told him that he had seen her in the place where the humans lived. She was covered in shiny things and bright light, with lots of coloured things surrounding her. The coloured things were called presents, and the humans had come down early one morning and opened them all. They had looked very happy when they did this. If you want to go with the humans, you must grow full, tall, and straight, little tree, said a very old fir tree. Even then, they may not take you, said the old fir. I was tall and straight, but they didn't take me. I'm sorry, old fir, that you weren't chosen. Old fir laughed. I love the forest, little tree. This is my home. This is where I belong. I have lived long, and my friends who are gone have never come back. I miss them. But I'm glad I was not taken to be a Christmas tree. Little Tree didn't care about living long in the forest. He wanted to see other places. It made the other trees think he was strange. But trees are nothing if not polite, and so they kept their thoughts to themselves and sang with Little Tree and the other trees when the wind blew. Little Tree chatted with and learned from the birds who landed on his branches. He felt the sun grow warm, and after many days grow cold again. Then the snow came. He waited and waited, and he grew straight and tall. When his 7th snow finally came, Little Tree was tall and full and straight. He was ready. One day, when the first snow had covered the ground for many days and nights, Finch came to see Little Tree and landed in his branches. Little Tree, the humans are coming. They're headed this way. Little Tree was excited. This year they would take him away with them. He was sure of it. 3 humans came into the forest near Little Tree. They stopped near him and looked around, talking amongst themselves. Little Tree didn't know what they talked about, but he saw one of them point at him and started to walk his way. The other humans called to the first and pointed to another Douglas fir. It was a tree that Little Tree knew well. They had grown together and were both in their 7th year. That Douglas fir cried out to Little Tree, "Why don't you take you? You want to go away. I want to stay here in the forest and grow old with my friends." Little Tree tried to stretch just a bit more. Since the other fir tree was a bit taller than he was, he strained and pushed out his branches as full as he could make them. But the humans didn't notice him. They took a very noisy thing that sent smoke and bits of wood into the air. Soon the Douglas fir was taken away, and Little Tree was sad. He stayed sad for a long time. Eventually the snow melted and the sun was warm again. But Little Tree didn't want to sing with the other trees in the spring breezes. He wanted more than anything to leave the forest. He wanted to see the humans' place and be dressed up in lights and shiny things. He wanted to be a Christmas tree. Finch was worried about his friend. One day he came and landed on Little Tree. "Don't be sad, Little Tree. I will keep you company and tell you all about the other places and the other trees all decorated. You can stay in the forest where you'll grow very tall and live a long, long time." Little Tree pouted and said, "I don't want to stay in the forest and grow old and very tall. I want to see the human places and be dressed up in lights and shiny things. I want to have boxes of bright colours put underneath my branches and watch little humans open them on Christmas morning. I want to be a Christmas tree, and I don't care about growing old." Finch moved back and forth on Little Tree's branch. He preened his wings, wondering what he could say to make Little Tree not be so sad. Finally he said, "Little Tree, your friend who was taken, he is gone." "What do you mean, Finch?" Finch moved back and forth for a while, then said, "A few days after the humans opened their presents, They took all the lights and shiny things off our friend. He was just a tree without roots then. They took him out of the house and left him on the ground. Later, some other humans came and took him away. Finch was quiet a moment, then said quietly, "He's gone, little tree. He won't ever come back." Little Tree thought about this. He wanted more than anything to see other places. He wasn't like other trees. Sometimes he thought he should have been a bird like Finch. If he was a bird, he could go anywhere, see everything. But since he wasn't a bird, he would do whatever he could do to leave the forest. He decided he would spend the time before the snow coming back, growing full and straight. He would be just the right amount of tall. He would be chosen this year and leave the forest. He would see the human places and be dressed up in lights and shiny things. He would be a Christmas tree. The other trees told him he should be like them. He should be happy in the forest, singing with the other trees and basking in the sun and the breezes during the summer, and singing in the cold winds of the winter. But Little Tree didn't listen. Those things were nice, but he wanted more. Soon the snow started again, and Little Tree stretched and preened as best he could. Then one day, the humans came into his part of the forest again. "Dad, can I pick out the tree this year? Please, please." The big human laughed. "Okay, Alan, you better choose a good one, or your mother will be upset." Alan skipped ahead of his father, looking left and right. The sun was shining today, and despite the snow, the air was fresh and not too cold. Alan skipped right up to a Douglas fir that was just the right amount of tall. It was full and straight, and Alan could feel something. He felt like he had just made a new friend. Little Tree saw the little human moving towards him, and he got excited. The bigger human had called this one Alan. Little Tree thought that was a nice name. He looked at Alan, and Alan looked at Little Tree. Both felt like they had just met their best friend. Alan's father came up behind him. "This is the one, Dad. This one. His name is Little Tree." Alan's father laughed. "You named the tree already?" Before Alan could tell him that the tree had told him his name, his father set down some shovels and burlap sacks. They dug Little Tree out with his roots and wrapped them in burlap that had been soaked in water and other things. Alan's father was a tree surgeon, and he knew how to take care of Little Tree to keep his branches bright and full. After Little Tree had been placed and tied down for the trip home, Alan spoke to him. "Little Tree," Alan said, "you will be my best friend, and I will be yours for the rest of our lives." When they arrived at Alan's home, they took Little Tree out of the truck, carried him into the house, and set him into a big clay pot. Then packed dark, rich soil around his burlap roots. Once Little Tree was standing in a corner by a window, Alan ran to get his mother. Standing between his mother and father, Alan admired their new Christmas tree. "I think it's a fine fir," said Alan's mum. "It's the best tree ever," said Alan. "Let's get the decorations," said Alan's father. Once all the lights and shiny things were put in on Little Tree, he felt he could burst with happiness. The trip back to the human place had excited him. He saw lots of other trees and strange animals in the meadows. He saw lots of other humans and the places they lived. Little Tree was happy. Now, all shiny and lit up, He thought he had finally made his dream come true. He was a Christmas tree. Alan and his parents put presents under him and stood back to admire him. They all were happy, but Little Tree could feel Alan's happiness the most, because it was just like his own. He even saw Finch come to the window and look in. He couldn't hear what Finch was telling him, but seeing his old friend was good. Finch carried news back to the forest. He told the other trees about Little Tree. He told them all how beautiful Little Tree was and how happy he looked. But Finch was a little sad. His old friend was gone from the forest, and soon Little Tree would be gone from his life too. Just like the other Christmas trees, Little Tree would be left outside, and humans would come and take him away. Finch would miss his good friend. He didn't know that Alan's father had other plans for Little Tree. On Christmas morning, Little Tree was looking out the window. He saw snow. He saw other places where humans lived. Sometimes humans walked by, and sometimes he saw the big metal things that carried humans. He thought he would like it here. It wasn't quiet and boring all the time like the forest was. There was always something new to see. Little Tree was happy. If he was to be gone when Christmas was over, he would still be happy, having had his dream come true. Alan came down the stairs and turned on Little Tree's light. He came over, picked up one of the presents and shook it. He whispered to Little Tree, "It's Christmas, Little Tree. It's time to open presents." Little Tree felt Alan's excitement and got excited too. Alan's parents came downstairs and they all opened presents. Soon there was laughter and some oohs and ahs as they opened gifts. A few days later, Little Tree was looking out the window, watching the humans go by and thinking he could never be happier than he had been since he had come to live with Alan. Sometimes he thought about what Finch had told him. "They go away, Little Tree. They go away and they never come back." Little Tree thought to himself that it would be okay. If he went away and never came back, he would always remember how happy he had been here with Alan. Alan and his parents came and took down the decorations, the shiny things and all the lights. When they were done, Little Tree was himself again. A straight, full and tall tree, except now he had done what he wanted to do. He had been a Christmas tree. Whatever came next, he knew would be okay. Alan's father carried Little Tree outside. Little Tree was ready to be laid down on the lawn to wait for the other humans to come and carry him away. But the father didn't lie him down. Little Tree saw a big hole in the lawn near the window he had looked out of. Alan's father took the burlap from the Little Tree's roots, put some stuff on them, and then placed them deep in the dirt. He'd packed the dirt firmly around Little Tree's roots and trunk to hold him straight and tall while his roots took hold in the new soil. Alan came up to Little Tree and looked at him. "Little Tree, you are my special friend. So my dad is going to plant you here outside the window so you can look and see all that goes on around you. You and I will grow up together and be friends for the rest of our lives." Little Tree smiled a very tree smile and radiated even more happiness than when he had been decorated as a Christmas tree. Alan's father took care of Little Tree, who used his roots to gather what he needed from the ground and stretched his needles to gather what he needed from the sun. Little Tree spent his life watching the humans. He was happy here, near Alan, who would come and play with him. Sometimes Finch would come visit and tell Little Tree about the forest and the friends who still lived there. With Alan and the visits from his friend Finch, Little Tree could not be happier, and when the snow came, Alan would take out lights and string them around Little Tree, so that every year Little Tree got to be a Christmas tree all over again. Little Tree had worked to make his dream come true, and now he lived a dream even better than he had ever imagined. The end.